Welcome to Rainbow Rundown, where we cover entertainment and news stories from across the LGBT community. Mondays here on the Left of Str8 Network. Enjoy the show.
Alrighty, everybody. Welcome to another Rainbow Rundown. It is Monday, August 14th, 2023. I am your host, as always, Scott Fullerton here, the chairman of the board of the Left of Str8 Radio Network. Sorry we missed you last Monday, but I was at another event for my podcast, Bears of a Certain Age. Pittsburgh had its Bear Run weekend, so I was out there for the weekend. So we are back to our news and current events right here on the Rainbow Rundown for the Left of Str8 Show. Lots of entertainment stories today, a couple of serious stories we're going to tackle. First thing I want to tell you about, because it hits close to home here in Ohio, judge tells anti-trans parents to go sit down and leave the kids alone. A federal judge has told a group of anti-trans parents to mind their own business after the group filed a lawsuit challenging an Ohio school district's bathroom policy. The attempts to meddle did not pass legal muster, he wrote in his ruling, saying that the group has no reason to sue. His parents' group sued with the various constitutional claims, everywhere from religious freedom to raise their children as they see fit, to all the same old arguments they have, but the judge wasn't impressed, and their attempt to set school policy failed based on their personal beliefs. The judge ruled that although parents have the right to make decisions about where to send their children to school, they do not have a constitutional right to revoke schools' policy on student bathroom usage, let alone show that possible presence of a transgender student in the bathroom is a substantial burden to the plaintiff's free exercise clause right. So, this is a federal judge too, so this can be used in federal rulings, which I like a lot. From here, my home state in Ohio. Last week, a different judge ruled in favor of 3 transgender students in Indiana, right next door to Ohio, whose school forbade them from using the bathrooms matching their gender identity. So I'm wondering if the federal judge here in Ohio kind of caught wind of what happened in Indiana last week, since it's right next door. But yeah, these parents groups that are trying to overturn all these school rights, that's why it's so important that we vote in our local school board elections, our local city council races, because that's what the right's trying to do. They're trying to narrow it down. They already have majority rule in a lot of states. They have more state legislatures than Democratic people do. So it's real important that we kind of watch our elections, get people out there to vote for issues that we believe in, and to get candidates to run, especially in school boards and local offices, such as city council and things like that. So very important, and I'm glad that federal judge stopped that ban. Let's go on to the next story. This one gets me really pissed off. The far-right group is attacking the It Gets Better project after the group donates $600,000 to students. If you guys don't know, It Gets Better project was founded by Dan Savage, who I've been a huge admirer of. He's unapologetically gay. He spoke about queer rights and queer love in magazines long before it became popular. But he founded the It Gets Better campaign, which it does, quite a few years ago, and now he kind of lets other people run it. But the It Gets Better project, they sponsored $10,000 grants to 56 U.S. and 15 Canadian public and charter schools to fund LGBT initiatives throughout 2023, according to the organization's website. So that was put out there. Then all of a sudden, this far-right group, the Daily Caller, I think they're called, took issue with the group promoting gender ideology. The publication attacked It Gets Better for funding the article. I think they titled it LGBTQ Activist Organization Awards Thousands of Schools Across the Country to promote gender ideology and to promote grooming, which we all know is their key trigger words that they use to kind of falsify all this propaganda. The program actually awards projects mainly run by kids, and it funds everything from pride events to GSAs, which are student gay straight alliances, to inclusive language seminars, to gender inclusive closets and grant applications. They're accepted from all schools by a staff advisor. They have to fill out the grant application. It's not easy to get. But good on the It Gets Better Project for giving this over $600,000 to all these students. The conservative website listed the school's award in the piece, and they say that the programming is happening to children, it's inappropriate, so get over yourselves, the Daily Caller, just ridiculous, and good on the It Gets Better Project for funding these schools. I think that's a great thing to do. Very happy to see that has happened. So next story might be a little funny, but it's really not when you look into it deeper. The website Pornhub sues Texas over age verification law taking effect next month. If you've ever watched porn at all, you know Pornhub is one of the aggregators of a lot of both homemade porn and studio porn that has little snippets all over it. Don't ask me how I know. I am a virgin here. But anyway, Pornhub is suing Texas over an age verification law, which is really scary after you go beneath the funny surface of it. Beginning next month, companies that distribute sexual materials online will be required to verify those accessing such material in Texas are at least 18 years old. Now, on the surface, doesn't sound bad, right? You should be 18 years old to view porn on the web. I can understand that. But the law, House Bill 1181, forces a Texas Health and Human Services warning on all porn sites, along with a process to verify someone's age, according to Texas Public Radio. The bill was signed into law by far-right Republican Governor Greg Abbott in June. But this is how you have to verify the age. Those accessing the porn sites will submit pictures of their photo ID and provide facial scans or other information. How scary is that? They want to have all your information on a website. If they have that, they know what you're going to be downloading and everything, right? So this Pornhub and a group of other companies, individuals in the adult entertainment industry have sued Texas, argue that the impending law is a violation of the U.S. Constitution as well as the Communications Decency Act. The complaint states the law uses the least effective and yet also the most restrictive means of accomplishing Texas' stated purpose of allegedly protecting minors. The group says that the minors could use VPNs to access material, blocking access to material, other restrictive ways that are much more easier to do for device content blocking, but such far more effective and less restrictive means don't seem to matter to Texas, whose true aim to protect minors is not to protect minors, but to squelch constitutionally protected free speech. It's just a scary thing to see. I mean, I understand if you want to, porn is supposed to, there's a lot of adult sites that are supposed to be 18 and over. We actually know everyone access them, right? And a lot of sites have ways to identify you through birth date or things like that, or you have to have a valid email or credit card or something like that most people can't get until they're 18. But to have to submit a picture with their photo ID or have a facial scan or something is really above the pale. So I'm really hoping this kind of doesn't pass. I hope they do some kind of injunction against this law that's supposed to start next month, because it really is prohibitive, and I don't know. I just don't like it whatsoever. Anyway, the next story is really sad to me. The Trevor Project is supposedly in crisis possibly right now. They have management and financial woes. It threatens the suicide prevention group's existence. If you're not familiar with the Trevor Project, it was founded in 1998. dedicated to preventing suicide among LGBTQ plus youth. But it's been just like a year of crisis for the organization. I have given lots of money to the Trevor Project. I think they're a fantastic organization, or were a fantastic organization. I still think their goals are right. But what's been happening the last year, they've been expanding their deficits. They depleted reserve funds. They have charges of racial and trans discrimination against them. There's lengthening wait times for calls to the suicide prevention line, which is the core mission. So that's the biggest issue for me. But they've all been pregnant since last fall when their CEO, Amit Paley, was ousted from the board of directors in response to a letter signed by over 200 employees of the Trevor Project expressing dissatisfaction with the organization's rapid scale up. So it's really kind of sad to see such a great organization's having these issues right now. This Paley guy, Amit Paley, was replaced by one of the original co-founders, Peggy Ratchke, as interim CEO. But now they have massive layoffs happening, charges of union busting going on. They have a really poor rollout of services in partnership with the Biden administration. It's like throwing the entire organization's existence into doubt right now. In, I think it was April, employees of the Trevor Project voted to unionize with the Communication Workers of America. Unions are to address poor working conditions. So if the Trevor Project's doing that, then something's happening there as a nonprofit organization. I didn't even know nonprofits could organize it. But I guess they did this, but they were trying to be broken up supposedly by the powers that be there. I'm not sure if you knew about it, but in 2020, the National Suicide Hotline Designation Act of 2020 created a new 3-digit mental health hotline, 988. You know, you call 411 for information and 911 for emergencies. They created 988. That would include an option dedicated to anyone needing access to mental health help, or it had a special section dedicated to LGBTQ and their allies. The Biden administration turned to the Trevor Project as an experienced ally that they thought could really help stand up the pilot program. But unfortunately, they're now cutting over 200 counselors because the Trevor Project just really didn't anticipate the needs and were really woefully unprepared for everyone that called in. They didn't have enough staffing. The staffing they have done wasn't adequate, so they've lost a lot of their funding towards it. So it's a real scary time for the Trevor Project. I'm going to keep donating, but I'm definitely going to keep my eye out on what's happening here, because you don't want to throw good money after bad. These guys are going down, but it's such a worthwhile organization, especially the founding of it. So fingers crossed that things are going to get better over there, because it's an important organization, and if not, someone really needs to pick up the mantle of suicide prevention for LGBTQ youth. So important story, and I'm sad to have to report on that one. All right, let's go ahead and break into entertainment. First thing I want to talk about is this ongoing writer strike and actor strike. It seems like they're back to the table now, but not before. It's really causing a lot of problems. In fact, Billy Porter, one of my favorite Broadway guys and musicians, singer-songwriter, he's basically saying, fuck you to Bob Iger as the Hollywood strikes forces him to sell his home. The artist is a great, if you don't know him from Pose and from Kinky Boots on Broadway, and for so many great projects, and for his really defying gender norms lately in the fashion industry. He's saying that the life of an artist, until you make kind of fuck you money, which he hasn't made yet, is still paycheck to paycheck. He has worked some great projects, as I said in the past, but he has a lot of projects that are on the burner that have now put on hold thanks to this writer strike going on and actors strike. He had that he was going to be with an upcoming movie, I think, a couple television series he was going to be on, and just talks about how sad it is that all these millionaire and billionaire studio heads are still getting rich off everything. A big contention is since streaming happened, these actors and stuff aren't making any money at all off residuals, which they used to make. I mean, a lot of actors, Orange and the New Black is a great series. And I love that series is all. But if you don't know it, they're still making, I mean, that series was on, I think, 5 years. And I believe Leah Daria or Leah Delaria, one of the co-stars in it, fantastic torch song singer. I believe she says she's making like $20. She'll get a $20 royalty check on occasion, residual check on occasion on it. A lot of these people are just not making the money. And these actors and writers aren't going to have money to put food on the table very soon. I think that's a goal behind these organizations. I think they're trying to wait these people out and hoping they will negotiate with them on bad faith. So they have gone back to the tables, which is good to hear, the negotiating tables. But I'm very worried for our friends. I mean, I have actors, writers here on this show all the time, and I understand their pain, believe me. So hopefully that's going to resolve itself and we're going to find out what's going on there, because I think it's really unfair that these companies are making millions and bajillions of dollars while these actors and writers aren't making anything. Also, I wanted to talk about big news the last couple of days is Wayne Brady, the actor, and I guess you would call him, what's the word for it? From Whose Line Is It Anyway? Improv actor. Improv actor, of course, he's the host of Let's Make a Deal on television and has been on a lot of great things. He came out as pansexual in a wide revealing interview to People magazine this last week. And all that people's been talking about. He says he began examining his sexuality as part of his therapy for childhood trauma and a love addiction. He says that he's really always felt the need and the pressure for love, and that he really is just kind of coming to terms with all that that means for it. He says, to be honest, I've been attracted to certain men in my life, he said, but I've always pushed it aside because how I was raised and because I live in today's world. He said it was very scary. He said, growing up, he used to hear the word gay as an insult against other men rather than as an attraction one could feel without shame. He says, I've always had a wonderful community of friends who are in the LGBTQ community, people I've grown up with in shows, gays, lesbians, later in life, trans relatives, and a niece. Brady told people that I've always had that community, but I've always felt like a sham because I wasn't being forthcoming with myself. So he has now come out as pansexual, and it was big headlines, but good for him for seeing his truth. He has not acted on it yet. He doesn't know when he's going to act on it. If you don't know, Wayne has been divorced. One of the first persons he told was his ex-wife, who he shares a media company with. They still co-parent their 20-year-old daughter that had no issues with it whatsoever. So good on him for coming out and all this, and big story that'll probably hit the back burner very soon, because anyone's sexual orientation should not be that big of a deal as it still is. Last two things I want to talk about before we get going today. Two great series, actually a great series and a great movie came out this past week. If you're a Heartstoppers fan, Heartstoppers Season 2 came out, was the number one, for the first weekend it was out, it was the number one series on Netflix. I think it's number 2 right now, but fantastic job. Of course, Joe Locke in it, along with, who's his co-star? Kit, what's his name? I don't remember. Anyway, Kit. I know it's Kit something or other. But Kit and Joe Locke are renewed their love for each other in the second part of the series. They take a class trip to Paris, I saw the entire, I think it's only 6 or 8 episodes. I binge watched the entire thing last weekend. I thought it was very cute. I thought it was very sweet how they portray these couples, both straight and LGBTQ. I mean, one of the girls that came out as transgender, and her boyfriend was handled very cute way it came out together. I mean, they'd had a crush all last season, and they got together this season. I thought that was very cool. So if you haven't seen the second season of Heartstoppers yet, I thought they did a fantastic job. So it's still, like I said, it was the number one, number two series. So I wouldn't be surprised if it gets renewed for a third season. It took a whole year for it to come on again. If you remember, um, the actor that plays Nick, Kit Connor's his last name now that I think about it. Kit Connor, he was kind of forced out as bisexual after the first season premiered last year. Kind of felt forced out of the closet. I think it was funny. I think I read yesterday that Joe Locke, who plays the other part, Charlie, of the couple, he kind of officially, I guess, came out to Teen Vogue yesterday or sometime this week. He said he's been openly out since he was 12 years old, but never really said it publicly. He just never denied it in any interviews or anything. But he officially came out the other day. So very cute couple, great acting. Like I said, all the ancillary characters in Heartstoppers do a great job supporting it. Of course, Olivia Colman, who's an amazing British actress who I love in so many things. She was in The Queen and so many great things, but she's been in a lot of great movies and stuff. She plays Nick's mom. Nick has a douchey brother that comes into the picture this time. We meet his dad, Nick's dad, this time, which so we get a lot of the family dynamics. Charlie's family is not happy. His grades are suffering because of the romance. So a lot more opening up of the relationship to the families and the friendships. So I really liked it. Watch Heartstoppers season 2. Recommend it highly. And we're going to finish off with the brand new movie that just premiered this past Friday on Amazon. Red, White, and Royal Blue has premiered. This has been quite a long time in the making. It's been getting huge notoriety for it. The LGBTQ film has been making a splash for months due to controversial R rating for it. It was directed by, who's the director for it? He did The Inheritance. Let me find his name real quick. Oh my gosh. I gotta find it. Matthew Lopez. Matthew Lopez, he actually wrote the screenplay along with Ted Malawar based on the book, and then he directed it and he fought hard for it. If you haven't seen The Inheritance is a great play, kind of a gay themed Howard's End, but done in 2 parts. It's a long play. They're actually playing it in my favorite theater company in Ohio here. It's been playing right now. So, but this has been a long time coming for it. It's based on the book Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston, who is a non-binary writer. The adaptation, I think, from what I've read, is true to a lot of parts in the book. There's a lot of parts that varies on it. It's very much Matthew Lopez's version of the story. There's a lot of characters that didn't make it into the movie. But I saw it on Friday and I thought it was an amazing movie. Speaking about the R rating, I was surprised what they got away with. There was a lot of scenes there that were very out there. We had a new little Heine from one of the stars of the show, and oh my God, these guys are so gorgeous. If you've been under a rock, we have Taylor Zakar Perez playing Alex in it, and then we have Nicholas, and I don't know how to pronounce his name. I guess it's kind of Galitzine. Nicholas Galitzine plays Prince Henry in the movie, and both extremely handsome dudes. Both everyone's speculating about their curiosity of their sexuality outside of the movie, and neither of them have commented on it. Good for them. No one needs to know. But it was very accurate portrayal of falling in love and a little bit of gay sex and making love. I mean, not pornographic, but it deserves its R rating. His mom, if you're not familiar with the story, it's basically the male son of the first female president of the United States ends up falling in love for the second prince of England. So he's like the spare prince, sort of like a Harry, Prince Harry kind of thing, where he's not going to be king, but one of the princes has to have that decorum in there. So the two of them fall in love after not being too friendly at first. But it's just a great romance story. I thought it was done fantastic. And if you have not seen it yet, it's just a great gay romantic comedy. Red, White, and Royal Blue on Amazon. You've been hearing about it for months. Definitely worth it. Go see it. So that's it. That's my take on LGBTQ news for this week. Thanks for listening to the Rainbow Rundown. Again, as always, I'm your host, Scott Fullerton, the producer and host of the Left of Str8 Radio Network. I have a lot of things coming up this week on the network. Tomorrow, of course, if it's Tuesday, it's 5 Questions With. I have the very handsome Brandon Cole Bailey coming on for 5 questions. If you missed our interview last week, be sure to check it out. Brandon is such a nice guy. He's a gorgeous model. He's been on international runways and covers of magazines across the world. But he's also a great advocate. He's an author of a book. He was sexually abused as a kid, and he's survived that, talks about it in his book, talks about growing up gay, and just an amazing guy. But we're going to have the fun part of the interview of 5 Questions With tomorrow on Tuesday. On Wednesday, Bears of a Certain Age with myself and my buddy Johnny from the Queer Centric. It'll be our 3rd episode. Guys, thanks so much for really all the bears and our people like the bear community have really latched on to this show. We've got some great write-ups in magazines and on social media. So we have our 3rd episode of Bears of a Certain Age coming up on Wednesday. Thursday, 2 great brand new interviews. I'm talking to the founder of the new adult canned beverage Gay Water. Owner Spencer Hodison comes on to talk about it. Gay Water is basically a carbonated adult beverage in a can, which is a vodka soda and flavored by a couple of different great flavors. So I talked to the owner about that. He was been a social media guy forever and has launched this new coverage. It's available in 35 states now, hopefully 47 very soon. So that's a great interview coming up Thursday. And also Thursday, I talked to a good friend of the show, Kim David Smith, an amazing performer. He's bringing his show, Mostly Marlene, to Provincetown September 1st and 2nd, the Post Office Cabaret there. And then he brings with him to the interview Brandon James Gwynn, my first time talking to him. He's an amazing performer himself. He's actually going to be in Provincetown this weekend with a couple friends of his for 3 Men and a Baby Grand at the Red Room in Provincetown. So a couple great interviews on Thursday and Friday. I am finally bringing my interview to you of Clayton James, who I did way back in June. He's been so patient, but we finally got clearance to do it because he's on a great TV show and because writer's strike and actor's strike. Weren't sure if we could do it, but I found out rules because it was done beforehand. We can go ahead and talk about it. So that'll be on this Friday, finally. So that's it. That's Rainbow Rundown for today, August 14th. Have a great week, everybody. Please try to support the Left of Str8 Network on Patreon, www.patreon.com/Left of Str8. For a mere $3, $8, or $13 a month, you can help support and pay for everything it takes to get 5 shows a week out to you for free LGBTQ content. I appreciate it. We will talk to you next week on Monday for another Rainbow Rundown. Have a great week, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Left of Str8 Show. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast distributor, and please give us a 5-star rating so more listeners can find us. You can follow us on social media, and be sure to check out our website, www.leftofstraightradio.com, for contests and other news and information. See you next week.